Five, four, three. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports, reporting live from my house. It is 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, so welcome to anybody that's already aboard. Sam K, my English friend, says hello, so hi, Sam. Hope you're doing well. Excuse me, I was rushing to get ready here, and I didn't take a drink of water. Matt Clausen's in the house. How you doing? Howdy. All right, so I'm going to dive into channel updates and general information here. Today's theme is American Express. Now, when I say theme, I mean that very loosely. I'll still go through the questions. This isn't Ask Me Anything, so go ahead and put questions in the chat if you have any, and I'll get to them. I have a handful of questions from the community tab, and I'll go through those as well. But first, diving into channel updates here, I need to go over my channel membership and thank those folks. So I do, right around Halloween, I started offering channel memberships, and the logic there was I wanted to get out some videos that weren't ideal in the YouTube algorithm. It's only $3 a month. I only have one level to be a Dugroz diehard. And it's just because there's some videos that just fit better in that kind of scenario. They don't get a lot of views, but the people who like them really like them. So that's going to be the really nerdy stuff. And it's going to be things that are just too sensitive to be out in the public. So there's a few things where I just don't necessarily want it broadcast out there. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, please consider joining. So the channel members are David Hamilton, Jacob Hess, Kevin Ellis, Jose Santiago, Scott Saul, PM, Sean D, Shad Kerr, and Chad Pennycuff. I appreciate the patronage of each one of you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you'd like to consider becoming a diehard, please do consider that. Again, $3 a month. You can cancel at any time. In terms of other updates that are just good to go over, I will go over my quarter in a quarter challenge. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what that is, I issued a challenge to myself and anyone else who wanted to play along to get 250,000 points, 250,000 points during the current quarter, which is fourth quarter of 2023. So let's pull up my high quality graphical interface and we'll see how I'm doing here. So first of all, my wife signed up for a Chase Inc. Business Cash, and that's 90,000 points. Most of the way to the sign-up bonus, haven't got there yet, got about another $1,000 to spend. I did refer her for 40,000 ultimate rewards, and that has already posted, so that one's a check. I opened up the Wells Fargo autograph card, which was 30,000 points, and I've already met the spend bonus on that, or the spending requirement, I should say, on that, which was only $1,500. Hasn't posted yet, but I'm sure it will soon. A local credit union only in Iowa and parts of Illinois. Green State Credit Union has a $200 new account bonus when I make 15 debit card, ATM deposits, those kind of things. And I'm most of the way there, but that won't post until November. And the new information that we have, where did I put it? I tried to have a grand reveal ready to go, and now I'm afraid I've screwed up, guys. I had the card all ready to go, and I was going to go do, but I lost it. Oh, well. My wife signed up for an American Express Blue Business Plus, and that's 15,000 points. That's the 2X Everywhere card. This actually serves a couple purposes. Now, you might be thinking 15,000 points is not a great sign-up bonus for that card, and I agree. I got it when it was 50,000 points. That's the same as the public offer. But it does accomplish a greater good in that my wife has a gold card that we are probably going to cancel. And I can get into more details on that when it renews, which will be next month after the December statement cuts. And that was the only Amex card she had. So I needed something to keep her membership reward points alive. So that as a no annual fee card, arguably their best no annual fee card, fit the bill quite well. I referred her and got 15,000 MR points from being the referrer. And I've already met the sign up bonus on that one too. Just hasn't posted yet. So that brings me to 210,000 points so far this quarter. If we include things where I'm assuming it'll post, but haven't yet. And I've got 40,000 to go. So in terms of how to accomplish those last 40,000 points, I've got a couple of different ideas on that. I did get this flyer in the mail, and I talked about it last time we met. I have a customized invitation for the business gold card. 150,000 points, requires $10,000 of spend in 3 months. The spending requirement's going to be a little difficult for me, so I'm still thinking that one over, but I might do that. Doubt I could get it in by the end of the year. So I'm either going to fail my own challenge, or I got to figure out a way to generate some extra spending. Now, I did say in the rules of the quarter and a quarter challenge that you can, it's just a fun thing. It's not hard and fast rules. If you want to value your points differently, it can't be more than 1 point equals 1 point. But if you want to, say give Hilton a value of 0.7 or 0.5 or whatever, you can. You can count bank account bonuses. You can count cash back rewards. You can count big spend bonuses. You can count manufactured spending. You can count normal spending. I haven't tallied up. I've done a little bit of manufactured spending so far this quarter. I've done normal spending. Maybe if I add all that in, it'll add up to 40K. I'm not sure. This applies to very few of you, but one of my favorite times of year is happening right now. In the points and miles world, for those of you who live in the Midwest, it's the most wonderful time of the year because Hy-Vee, which is a grocery store, is selling their Visa gift cards for $10 off right now. Now, it used to be stackable where you could get $10 off for every $150. So if you bought a $450 Visa gift card, you got $30 off. They took away the stackableness and combinableness, so it's just $10 off. But still, even if it's a $6 purchase fee, that means they're giving you $4 to buy the gift card. Even if it costs you $1 to liquidate it, you're still, it's pure spend. And unlike Staples, where it's in $200 increments, this can be up to $500. So that's nicer. I've done a little bit of manufactured spending on that. I haven't hit it quite as hard as I have in past quarters. All right, let me catch up on my comments here. Just a second. Matt Clausen says he's still annoyed at a bank. I wonder what bank that could be. It's probably Green State Credit Union he's talking about. Joe IF says, hello from North Carolina, Venezuelan here. Well, glad to have you on board, Joe. Let us know if there's anything you want to discuss. PM is in the house, one of the Dugroz diehards. Thanks for being here. Matt says it's a fun anchor card for membership rewards. And the Rakuten hack. I'm assuming you're talking about the Blue Business Plus, and I would certainly agree with you. She does have the Rakuten hooked up to her Amex points. Cesar Joel's in the house. Good morning, all. Good to see you. Thanks for being here, buddy. I really appreciate it. And everybody's just greeting each other. Okay, so that's good to know. All right, other updates, as always. I do have super chats enabled, so if you wanted to throw a couple bucks my way, or if it's more than a couple bucks, I'm not going to complain. You can. Your question will rise to the top. No obligation, of course. Happy to have you on board no matter what. If you are kind enough to click the thumbs up button, that would really help. I have found these live streams are very easy for me to do and do drive people to my channel. Might only get 20, 30 people watching while it's going, but sometimes 200 or 300 more will watch after the fact. Other channel updates, or not channel updates, but just things that I'm thinking about, a segment that I have called Dugroz data points. So I just wanted to mention any sort of data points or things that I've run across that would just be helpful to mention in general from my experiences. So a few of you knew that I was trying this trick with my business platinum card for the airline incidental credit with Delta. There were multiple data points that told me that if you use a Delta gift card and your platinum or business platinum card at the same time, it will trigger the airline incidental credit. I had already done that for somewhere around $63, and I was curious if it would work for purchases over $100, and I tried it, and it did. So I got a flight that was around $160, used a $50 gift card. So the part that went on the Amex Business Platinum was $110, $120, somewhere in that neighborhood. And sure enough, 5 or 6 days later, the airline incidental credit posted. So I've already used all but $30 or so of my airline incidental credit for the year. And then I can kind of bank that with Delta. I am aware, someone brought this to my attention last week, although I kind of already knew it. Thank you. The Delta points do expire a year after you make the booking, or not points, but Delta e-credits expire. So I'll need to use that within the next year, which I already plan to do. There were probably other data points, but they're just not popping into my head right now. American Express, not so much a data point, just a fun story. American Express, does Amex offers. And on my wife's gold card, I got an offer for $20 off at Quick Trip if you spend at least $50. This is Quick Trip with a Q, which is a gas station here in Iowa. I'm not sure if it's in other states or not. Not to be confused with Quick Trip with a K, which is based out of Wisconsin. It did say you have to make in-store purchases. In one case, I got a $25 gift card in store. In one case, I went inside and prepaid for $26 worth of gas. And yes, that worked. It did trigger the $20 credit. So I got $50 worth of gas for $30. So that was good. If you have an update on your quarter and a quarter challenge, go ahead and put that in the comments and I'll be glad to read them off, just like PM did here. So he said $180K for 2 new ink cards, a Venture X for $90K, and $250 Amex personal checking account puts him well above 250,000 points in this quarter. And I agree. Actually, I should look into having the missus do the Amex checking account offer. If I remember correctly, all you have to do is make a single direct deposit of, I think, $500 or more. If anybody knows, they can confirm that. Sam says another U.S. bank was in the news. I didn't see much preview info without accepting an abundance of cookies. I'm so sorry, Sam. I'm not sure what you're referencing. So if you wanted to provide clarification or if anyone else knew what he's talking about, I'll be glad to bring that up. Also in the news, and Matt Clausen hinted this earlier, Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo was scheduled to release their transfer partners on November 15th. November 15th has come and gone, and there was nothing. So back on the October statements, there was a line that said that. I would like to think I broke the news on that it was delayed. There may have been others, but Doctor of Credit gave me a hat tip as the one who broke the news at least. When I got my statement on my autograph about on the 13th or so, I noticed there was a line on there that said transfer partners will be available starting on December 10th. And I made a shorts video about that. Thank you to anyone who watched it. I appreciate that. So yeah, Wells Fargo transfer partners. I guess I've done enough speculating. I'm not going to do more, but just we're all going to have to be patient and wait until December 10th to find out what they are. Hopefully they're just doing a little bit of cover your hind end, and it'll actually be sooner than that. I will also mention that that stinks for a couple different reasons, but just personally, I was kind of waiting to see what I would do for my end of the year, last little 40K to push me over the hump until they made that reveal, because if they pushed out a great new business card, I would consider getting that. Hi, YouTube Experiment. How are you? He says, just tuning in, 13 minutes in. Well, hey, better late than never. No harm in that. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the question and answer segment here. We'll start with the community tab and any questions that were posted there. Now, I did have one from last week's community tab that I just didn't get to in time, and I apologize, so I'm going to do that now. This question was asked by someone who goes by the Internationalist 1357. And their question was, does the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card Priority Pass come with restaurants? And do authorized users get their own Priority Pass too? Well, the first part of that, I knew the answer. The second part, I had to research. So, yes, the US Bank Altitude Reserves version of Priority Pass, which gives you, it's not unlimited, it is limited, 8 visits, but it does count as restaurants. If you look through videos I've made, there was one from a few months back, well, back in the spring actually, called something like Altitude Reserve Secret Power. And I gave an anecdote about going to the St. Louis airport and they only have one Priority Pass lounge and it was closed. They have one Priority Pass restaurant. So I went there. And when I tried to use my CapitalOne Venture X Priority Pass, it failed. But when I used my US Bank Altitude Reserve Priority Pass, it worked. So I got a free breakfast that day. So yes, the US Bank version of Priority Pass does include restaurants. Now, the second part of the question is, do the authorized users get their own Priority Pass too? And I thought, oh man, if they do, that would be awesome because then you'd basically double it from 8 to 16 visits. Unfortunately, I looked through multiple data points on Reddit, blogs, other videos, those kind of things. It appears from multiple data points that the authorized user card issues with the exact same credit card number as the primary. Therefore, you cannot register a separate Priority Pass for an authorized user. So unfortunately, getting a whole separate Priority Pass for an authorized user on an Altitude Reserve card is just not going to be an issue, not going to be an option. Matt Clausen said, I didn't see anything about US Bank. I think Sam meant a US Bank, not the one that's called, quote, US Bank. Further down, he said, I think the bank may have been in financial trouble, as many countries are. I did hear another time that a lot of business bankers withdrawing large sums at once, and the bank was overwhelmed. Well, that's certainly possible. You know, we did have the Silicon Valley Bank earlier this year that went, so there might be others as well. Matt Clausen says, I have seen a data point via Doctor of Credit that the Chase Inc. Premier can now pool its points with regular UR points. That would be a game changer indeed, because if my memory serves me correctly, that's the UR earning card that earns kind of like, well, at least prior to this, earned like fake UR points that basically all you could do is cash it out or use it within itself. You were not allowed to combine it with your Sapphire Reserve Preferred, Inc. Preferred. It was kind of the fancier card. I think it gave 2x everywhere, had a higher fee, and a lot of people just got it for a year to get the bonus and dumped it. So that would be a big deal if that was the case. PM says, Amex personal checking is indeed one direct deposit of $500 or more for a $250 sign-up bonus. Cesar gives his quarter and a quarter challenge update. He got $150K for Marriott, $60K Amex referrals, $50K Discover referrals, $40K Hilton referrals. Man, this guy's the referral master. Got the Premier, so expect another $60K. When you say the Premier, is that the City Premier, I assume? Another $60K. Got a couple more points that I need to get to write them down. And he said Player 2 got a couple more points. We referred each other. And working on the $50K business checking bonus. Wow. You were doing well, Cesar. You get a little party icon there. Good job. A little bit jealous of all those referrals, but that's okay. You've definitely hit a niche with your Spanish-speaking channel, so good on you. YouTube Experiment applauds Cesar's work as well. All right, so that was the leftover question. Let me get to the community tab here from the one I posted yesterday and just see what the questions are. Marcus Young 5440 asks this question. Do you use a spreadsheet template to track your cards? I think it's time I found a good one and use it before things get even more out of control. So the answer to that question is yes, I do use a spreadsheet to track my cards, but I don't use any official one. I made my own. I like spreadsheets. I'm a little bit of a spreadsheet nerd, not too much. So on my spreadsheet, and again, I'm a low tech user, so I don't know how to share my screen. Otherwise, I would. But I have a couple different tabs. One of them is called something like in the stable. Think like a stable of horses. Each credit card is a horse, and they go in different slots. I just list all the credit cards I have that are open in the order in which I obtained them. Have any of you ever seen the episode of The Simpsons from a long time ago where uh, Homer joins a secret society called the Stonecutters? And I think when he's explaining to either Marge or one of his friends, he says, "These people looked deep within my soul and assigned me a number based on the order in which I joined." So I do the same thing with my credit cards. I assign them a line on the spreadsheet based on the order in which they joined. That is for tracking 524 purposes. If I ever make a purchase and I only have the last four of the credit card number, I can quickly reference it because I put the last four right on there. Then I have a separate tab for remembering all of my usernames and passwords on the many websites I have, which is overwhelming. I don't actually type out the password. I'll just write like maybe a couple letters um, and a clue to help me remember. So like if the password was Chattanooga Choo Choo, I might write train that goes to Tennessee or something like that, just to help me remember what the password was. And then I have a tab for payment help. I call it the payment help tool, which every month I list out each individual card, the statement balance remaining, and the amount paid. And then I put an X to the far right if it's been paid. If it's a zero balance, which happens with sock drawer cards, I put NA. So yes, I do have a spreadsheet. I have made my own. I've thought about maybe dolling it up a little bit and sharing it to see if other people would like it as well. There's other tools that do that for you. I just preferred to do it myself. Cesar confirms that the premiere he's referencing was, in fact, the city premiere. Matt Clausen says, nothing permanent or official, but Chase may, in theory, have a 2x everywhere card without adjusting any other cards. That would be that prestige thing he mentioned. Hey, fingers crossed. Knock on wood. For a charge card with a $195 annual fee, grumble. Cesar reminds everyone to hit the thumbs up button to help me out, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. YouTube Experiment says, I used to like the idea of the rotating categories, but now having both Discover It and Chase Freedom Flex, I'm not finding it that great. More of a challenge remembering what is elevated. I can hear you there, and I have a couple different thoughts. First of all, I don't want to force anyone to like or dislike any particular card or try to talk them into or out of it, because what works for me won't work for you, and vice versa. At least it won't necessarily work for you. Some of my favorite YouTubers have completely different card setups than I do, and that's totally fine. But I do like rotating categories on the Chase cards. I find that I can almost always use them. For example, right now, it includes PayPal, and CVS Pharmacy will let you do show to pay, where you just take your phone, hold it up. I don't have a phone with me. Here's a calculator. Hold your phone up, show it to the cashier. They get their little gun, go boop, scan the barcode, and it charges to your PayPal account. You can set on there which card it goes to. So I can buy anything at CVS Pharmacy and have it count as a PayPal purchase. They sell gift cards, so that's something I can use. It's frequently been grocery. It's been a while, but it's also been pharmacy. It's been gas. I'm pretty comfortable with buying third-party gift cards and occasionally a prepaid gift card like a Visa or MasterCard. So for me, it's not that hard to max out. Now, I do also have a Discover card, and if you were asking me which cards I'm thinking about dumping, I would include the Discover card. I know Cesar had a bunch of referrals, and I have it basically for credit history. I think just because I've been in the game long enough, the maximum you can get out of any given quarter is $75. I don't find $75 to be all that exciting, even though the spend limit's exactly the same as Chase, $1,500 per card per quarter for the 5X. I would much rather have $1,500 of spend going on a Chase card and earning me $7,500 during those rotating times than have it go on 7,500 points, which can be used for a variety of things, than just pick up $75. Cesar says he rarely uses his setup and even less those 5x rotating. Most of the times he's working on a bonus. Yeah, I've thought about that too. Like, what is my ideal setup? And it seems like about the time I attain my ideal setup, I stop using it because I'm working on something else. I just about have a perfect city setup going. All I need is the double cash to have the full quartet. I have the trio right now. I have the custom cash, the premier, and the rewards plus, which is pretty good. So if I was just going for a normal spend and no sign up bonus, I would use that. But then Amex does something like, right now, several of their cards have a plus 5 points per dollar on Amazon up to 2,500 points. So I'm going through different cards on that. And, I'm just constantly changing what goes where. So I totally hear you there. Back to the community tab. PM, which stands for Phil Mo 78, asked, and I think you're on board. Glad to see you. Asked this question, kind of a chicken or the egg thing, but I'm curious about your process. Do you decide on a destination first, then try to amass the points, or just see where your point stash can take you? That is a great question. I'm not even sure of the answer, but I guess I can kind of discuss it. So, I've mentioned before, usually twice a year, I will take what I call a RIP trip, rental in plane. In means like motel. Usually that's a 3 or 4 day weekend somewhere in the United States, just kind of a getaway solo trip all by myself to go look at nerdy historical things. For those trips, I just go where I want to go and then see, the best way to use points to get there. I had done a previous video that was titled something like Infrequent Miler Unlimited Points. And basically it was one of those boring philosophy videos where I drive in my car, frugal points. Some people love them. Because I am an infrequent traveler, and definitely not compared to the world as a whole, but compared to our community, compared to Uncle Luke or someone like that, I definitely am. I might take 2 to 3 solo trips a year, 1 or 2 weekend getaways here and there, and then 1 big trip in the summer, and that's it. In fact, that's probably even generous. I might fly on a plane 3 to 4 times a year. Because of that, unless I'm taking cash, I basically never run out of points. So for those shorter trips, like the weekend domestic trips, I don't even think about like where my points can take me. I just decide where I want to go and then figure out the best way to use points once I've made that decision. Example, last April, I wanted to go to Pensacola, Florida, the Gulf Coast, a little bit of Alabama, and I just figured out the best way to get there. Ended up staying at a Holiday Inn Express for 2 out of the 3 nights, and that was totally fine. For a big family vacation, it's a little different. There would be this kind of meeting of the minds of like where we want to go plus points to get there. I did one to Northern Arizona, and that was partially because we wanted to go there, but also partially because I was able to get this decent deal on points. When we went to England and Sweden this past summer, my wife had always wanted to go to England. Sweden was more like just a place I could go to fly out of to not have the big excise tax that the United Kingdom charges. So it was just a bunch of factors kind of all balled together. But I try to keep a big enough stash of points that I have lots of options. I'm not saying I blow my points. I try to be frugal with them. But I'm getting more and more to the point where I'm willing to use points without worrying too much about, can I afford to use this many points? If I have them, I'm going to use them. Just make the trip a little fancier. I got a question here from JP Knowledge. He's a big-time content creator, so check his channel out. JP asks, how many points does your family use on average for a vacation? Well, I haven't been doing it long enough to really figure out an average, but if I was to kind of spitball an answer here, a good example of a domestic trip would be in 2020, like right before COVID. We're talking like February, shut down in March. We went to Northern Arizona, as I mentioned, the area around Page, saw the Grand Canyon, saw the Glen Canyon Dam, saw Horseshoe Bend, Antelope Canyon, which is sort of like the Windows cover page canyon everybody shows. And I figure for that, we spent probably around 200,000 points for a family of 4, roughly, not counting meals and those kind of things. So 200 grand in points. Now, that was a little more basic. That was sort of in my frugal miler roots phase, which I'm trying to get back into. I think I used the Chase Sapphire Reserve portal to book the flights at 1.5 cents per point. I saved a bunch of cashback bonuses and then saved up for our motel with cash. Rental car, I used the Altitude Reserve, of course. So yeah, that was around 200,000 points. And then for our big family vacation, I did do just a quick kind of spitball guess. I believe I used, this is the one where we went to England, Sweden, business class, the whole 9 yards. I used 665,000 transferable points, roughly. Amex, CapitalOne, Citi. And then I used 558,000 Hilton points, which, is not worth as much as transferable points. So I don't necessarily, want to add those together. But if you're just talking about points, regardless of value, that's over $1 million. It's like 1.2 million. But again, over $500,000 of those were Hilton points. Plus about $3,000 in cash. Now, I didn't actually use $3,000 in cash. I used a combination of various things like the CapitalOne Venture X Travel Eraser. But most of what I used was the Aeroplan card from Chase, which allows you to pay yourself back at a rate of 1.25 cents per point. Although there was a transfer bonus from Chase to Aeroplan, plus there's a built-in bonus when you transfer at least 50,000 points of 10%. So it was actually more like 1.53 cents per point. So for the cash portion of that trip, I mostly used Chase points. So I'm not sure if I should factor that in or not. Let's see, what does that come out to? So hit a wrong button, my calculator. 3,000 points, $3,000 converted to points would be 300,000, but it was at 1.5, which divide by 1.53 would be like 196,000. So, I would say in terms of transferable currencies for that great big vacation, I used around 800,000 points. That was kind of the big granddaddy of them all in my family in terms of how many points I used. So do any of you have any insight of, like, if you take a big family vacation, how many points you use? I doubt that pattern will continue in the near future. Maybe in 2025, we'll go back to Europe or something like that. All right. So that's all of the pre-made questions that we have listed here. Sam K said 16 degrees Celsius in the United Kingdom right now. Bring a raincoat. All right. So, 14 degrees Celsius. So mental math, what's that come out to? Somewhere around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. I'm kind of spitballing. Gumbo says it's 67 degrees Fahrenheit right now in Madrid. I'm really tempted to say Madrid because there's a small town here in Iowa called Madrid, maybe 15 miles from here. It's spelled the same as the city in Spain, but it's pronounced differently. Not seeing any questions in the chat nor on the community tab. I'll move into the theme of the day, which is Amex. And I had mentioned earlier, I don't want to tell anyone, there's a right way and a wrong way to do points. Do what works for you. Now, that's a little bit of an over cliched statement. It's like when teachers say there are no dumb questions. There are some dumb questions. There are some dumb use of points. For example, if you use your Amex points to buy merchandise like a vacuum cleaner at 0.6 of a cent per point, that's a bad use of points. But as long as you're getting at least a penny a point, I'm not going to criticize anyone. So there's my disclaimer. I'm not saying the way I do it is right or the way I do it is wrong. But I'm going to give you my opinion anyhow. So, Amex points. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Amex. Love, their points can be extremely valuable, especially for international business class flights. My family would not have gotten to Europe this past summer if it wasn't for Amex. I transferred their points to a couple different places, Virgin Atlantic and Flying Blue, um, with a sign-up bonus. And, I ended up getting, for one of the flights, somewhere around 20 cents per point, and that's pretty hard to beat. So Amex points are extremely valuable in some situations. However, just kind of your average Joe traveling around the United States road tripping. I'm not sure why I felt the need to play a banjo there, but I did. I don't think it's as valuable. I think there's other strategies that are more valuable. So, what that has led to for me is sort of a churn and burn or pump and dump strategy where I sign up for like the big Amex card. My wife had a consumer platinum. My mom had a consumer platinum. And for those of you who don't follow my channel a lot, my parents are both elderly and I basically handle their finances. So with their permission, I can use their credit cards. As long as I pay the annual fee, they don't mind. So it's sort of like I have a player 3 and 4 with some limitations. My mom's platinum card, we canceled after the first year because they didn't give us a retention offer at all. My wife's platinum card, they gave us a retention offer. I think it was $400 after spending so much in the first year, and we kept it in the second year. After the second year, no retention offer. We dumped it. My wife's Amex Gold card, got it, have already been past the first year. They gave us a retention offer. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like 20,000 points for spending a certain amount. Kept it a second year, kind of begrudgingly. It's going to come up for renewal in about a month. And unless they give us some insane retention offer, we're not keeping it. Even if it was 20,000 points, I don't think I will, just because I'm getting kind of sick of the coupon book and those kind of things. So the big high annual fee ones are probably just going to be burned through. I currently have the business platinum card. I got that in conjunction with the Amex business savings account. And if I met all the goals for both the savings account plus the card combined, I got a total of 200,000 Amex points. So unless they throw a pretty big retention offer at me, I might be dumping that one, with one little asterisk caveat that I might come back to in a little bit. So for me, I really like corn. And the way that Amex cards work is, at least the big high annual fee ones are mostly for, use them and then get rid of them. If anybody is having problems with the feed from a technological point of view, let me know, because I just saw up in the corner the counter froze at 37 minutes and 42 seconds for like 20 seconds. So I apologize if that's the case. So where am I going with this? Well, what is an Amex strategy for me? Let me open up my PowerPoint here and take a look at all of my Amex cards. You would think I'd have it memorized, but I don't want to try to just go from memory. I apologize. Sometimes the webcam slows down a little bit when I'm opening things, so I apologize if that's the case. There might be just a brief delay here, or a brief lag in the live stream. While I'm waiting for that to pop up, I'll read some questions over in the comments. Icarus is on board. Hey, Icarus, how you doing? Kid Icarus was a Nintendo game back in the 80s. Amazon killed 50-cent reloads. Do I know a sub $1 method? Well, I was aware of that. Yes, they increased their minimum reload from 50 cents to $1. To me, that's not a big enough deal to worry about. But I can kind of understand if you need to do 30 debits a month, not wanting to do that. So go to a grocery store and buy ramen noodles one transaction at a time. I've done that with my Green State Credit Union sign-up bonus I'm trying to get. Basically, anytime I go to Hy-Vee to get a gift card or actual groceries or whatever, I'll go through the regular checkout line. You have to go through a human checkout line to get a gift card. That's their policy. Then I'll go back around, get a thing of ramen noodles or a can of tuna, go through self-checkout, buy my one item, and go. Sam asks, how many hours roughly does it take to fly from America to the United Kingdom? Good question. I flew from Minneapolis, which is in Minnesota here in the U.S., kind of right in the middle of the country on the left-right axis. to Amsterdam, and that was a little over 6 hours because you have the jet stream going from America to Europe. I would assume if I flew to London, it would be actually just a touch shorter. It was like 6 hours, 20 minutes, 6 hours, 30 minutes, something like that. On the way back, we flew from Paris to Minneapolis, and that was a little over 8 hours. So 6 to 8 hours, depending on which direction you're going, would be my rough guess. YouTube Experiment asks, what are your thoughts on Amex Gold Consumer Card beyond the second year? Hey, thank you, YouTube Experiment. I'll give you a little heart reaction here. Transition to the rest of my Amex thoughts. So there was a video that Sam the Credit Frog put out about 4 weeks ago, although I just got around to watching it yesterday. Actually, I just got around to watching it at like 2 o'clock this morning when I couldn't get back to sleep after being woken up by accident. And I will pull up a copy of that and read it to you because I thought it was an excellent quote. This is Sam the Credit Frog. Paying someone to make my life more complicated is not worth it. And that was in reference to the credits that you get with the various Amex cards. But for the sake of this discussion, he was talking about the new Hilton cards and like how there's a quarterly credit on the Surpass. There's monthly credits on other things, but it also applies to anything where Amex is giving credits other than an annual credit. So like the US Bank Altitude Reserve, their credit to offset $325 out of the $400 annual fee is you can do it in pieces or all at once. If you bought $325 worth of food at a restaurant, bam, you get the whole credit all at once. Same thing with the Sapphire Reserve. If you spend $300 on travel, bam, you get the whole credit all at once. Amex does breakage on purpose. They're hoping you will forget some of these annual credits. So there's 2 annual credits that are broken out monthly on the Amex Consumer Gold. One is for what they call the dining credit, which is at Grubhub, Shake Shack, and a couple other things. Grubhub is the only one that works for me based on where I live in Des Moines, Iowa. We don't have Shake Shacks, unfortunately. So every month I have to put in a Grubhub order, go to Pizza Hut, pick up a melt, which is right around $10, and use it that way. Does it work? Yes. But basically what I'm doing is giving Amex $120 at the beginning of the year, and then they give me a coupon to get $10 back every month. And if I forget one of those months, that's more profit for them. I don't like that. They're basically dictating where I spend my money and how often I spend it. They also have a $10 Uber credit. Now, if it was just deposited into your Uber account and stayed there, that would be great. But it's a use it or lose it credit. I don't use Uber hardly at all. I've only ridden Uber twice in my whole life, and once was in Sweden. So what I do is I'll go into Uber Eats and order something on Uber Eats and then go do a pickup for $10 or more once per month. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Same thing. They're forcing me to prepay to get an effective low annual fee or no annual fee. I don't like that. I don't like annual fees in general. I like the freedom of directing my money where I want it to go. The same thing applies to travel credits, like in the CapitalOne Venture X card. Here's $400 annual fee. You can get $300 of it back by using our portal. Now, the part where they give me 10,000 CapitalOne miles, that I'm okay with because I can use that whenever. I don't want to use their portal. So don't say it's net no annual fee. It's not. There's an annual fee, and CapitalOne is choosing how you use that money, in this case, in their portal. I want to retain maximum flexibility. Not upset with anyone that feels differently, but that's how I feel. So I don't like the gold card for that reason. Forex on grocery is pretty valuable. I will give you that. One problem is that my family buys most of our groceries at Walmart via online pickup. It doesn't code as grocery. So it's not doing us any good in that regard. Yes, I can do some limited gift card buying. You want to be very cautious with Amex and not do it during a sign-up bonus at all. maybe get $100 gift card here and then mix it in with your normal spending. But I'm willing to do it, but it's a little less convenient. So I don't love the consumer card, the gold card, for that reason. I would much prefer to only pay $95 a year and get 3x on grocery with my Citi Premier card. So that's how I feel about that. Not going to tear down anyone who uses the gold card, but for me, the consumer gold card is just not worth it beyond the second year, unless they throw a really good retention offer at you. Matt Clausen asks, with potential changes to the consumer cards and all the craziness this year, I'm pausing on considering the green, gold, platinum. Oh, that's a comment, not a question. Understandable. The whole family limitations, since my wife's already had a gold card and a platinum card, she's, frozen out of them in the future. I could still get the gold or platinum, but not both. Matt Clausen also says he's interested in the Wells Fargo Signify, more ink cards, or can you wait for the U.S. Bank to grab partnerships itself? The Wells Fargo Signify, or whatever their business card is going to be, or their Premier card, I'm with you, but we'll just have to wait and see. As it relates to U.S. Bank grabbing partners, don't hold your breath, Matt. And then he also mentions the Wells Fargo Premium Travel Card. Sam says separate miscellaneous bank accounts are handy, keeps the bill payment separate from the other things. I agree with that. So I have a whole separate budget for my travel budget. See, I have a personal rule that travel expenses does not come out of my family budget. So even when I had that $3,000 in cash I spent on our European vacation, that's not coming out of my paycheck or my wife's paycheck. That's coming out of rewards, combination of cash back rewards, bank account sign-up bonuses, cashing out points. Subset of cashing out points would be things like the Aeroplan card, where you can basically cash out points at a higher rate, 1.5 in my example, functionally. Sam asked, what are the gold or platinum cards? So we're talking about American Express Gold and American Express Platinum cards. I don't know if there's a United Kingdom equivalent of those. I apologize. I can show you even what they look like if you would like, at least on the gold card. We no longer have the platinum. Hey, that's an interesting question. Just something that's kind of a fun question. Doesn't really help with points and miles at all. When you cancel a credit card, what do you do with it? Do you save it? Do you shred it? Especially those metal cards, they're kind of hard to get rid of. I think one time I took a pair of clippers, used to trim hedges and cut it in half. So here's my dad as an authorized user on the American Express Gold card. It's actually my wife's card, but my dad is an authorized user. There was a time when they were doing I think 10,000 MR points for adding an authorized user and spending maybe $1,500 or something like that. So that's what it looks like. This is the gold card that YouTube Experiment was referencing, the consumer gold. They also have one that's more of a rose gold color. It's the exact same card, just a different color. All right, so I had said earlier I would go over all of my Amex cards and just comment on them in general. So first up, I have the American Express Business Platinum, which is going to look a lot like the Consumer Platinum, but it's a business card. I got that for that big old sign-up bonus that I referenced earlier. I had mentioned earlier I'll probably dump it after year one with a bit of an asterisk to that. Here's what it looks like. That's the Amex Business Platinum card right there. There we go. And here's the asterisk. So Delta. I like flying on Delta. I don't need status. I'm happy with them just as a passenger. I figured out the trick with the gift cards and using the airline incidental to basically buy into their system by using the airline incidental credit. That takes $200 off the very hefty annual fee of almost $700. That helps. It doesn't answer it all, but it helps. And that I can, if I get a big enough purchase, I can use it all at once. I don't have to do quarters or anything like that. Have any of you used either the Business Platinum or the Business Gold to buy airfare through the Amex travel portal and get your points refunded. I think it's the equivalent of 20% back on the business gold and 35% of your points back on the business platinum, which if you do the math with the business platinum ends up being like 1.52 cents per point or something like that. My speculation would be it would work the same as all the other portals like Wells Fargo and Chase, where you could put in your frequent flyer number and then it just shows up under your Delta app. So if something comes up, if there's a problem, I'm not dealing with the portal, I'm dealing directly with Delta. So that's something that might help me to keep it around more than 1 year. I would have to think that through a little bit. And then, of course, the Centurion Lounge, when they stopped allowing guests admission to the Centurion Lounges, that really hurt. I feel like as someone who only flies about 3 times a year, I shouldn't be pinning all my hopes and dreams on the Centurion Lounge, but it sure is nice to have a nice lounge. I stopped in Dallas once and went to the CapitalOne Lounge and the Priority Pass Lounge. And compared to the CapitalOne Lounge, the Priority Pass Lounge was kind of a joke. I ran across 2 or 3 Priority Pass lounges that are very meh, if not, that one in Dallas was just plain bad. It was overcrowded and their food selection was picked through and terrible. It was like, do you want tomato soup and hummus? Hope you like that. Meat? We don't know what meat is here at the Priority Pass Lounge. So I'm thinking about ditching my CapitalOne setup just for the sake of simplicity. That does cut me out from CapitalOne lounges, though. So I'm having to think that part through. So that's the caveat there. So the Platinum also has, Business Platinum rather, also has $10 a month in wireless credits. That's easy to use. Just pay your cell phone bill. So started with, I'd round off to the nearest $5. $700 annual fee. I recovered $200 with the airline incidental credit with Delta and $120 with the cell phone. So now I'm down to an effective annual fee of $380. Dell has a credit. You can use 2 $200 credits per year. I wish it was all once a year. I got my microphone with my Dell credit, but I find those are kind of hard to use and nothing at Dell really excites me. So at best, I'd give 50% credit for that. So let's say I do. I'm being really generous. That's another $200 off. So an effective annual fee of $180. But again, I don't like the concept of effective annual fees because then the company is telling me where I have to spend my money. Let's keep going here. We talked about the consumer gold card, which is in my wife's name. And just to clarify, when I'm talking about, the issues I have with Amex cards, and I'm not trying to put them down, the love-hate relationship, I'm talking about the membership reward earning cards. As an example, I also have a Blue Cash Everyday card. My mom has the Cash Magnet card. There's nothing wrong with their cash back cards. In fact, the Blue Cash Everyday is kind of one of those unexciting cards that everyone should have. Guess I don't know where it is right now. Because if you use Hulu and or Disney Plus and or ESPN Plus, it gives you a $7 credit on that every month. And it gives 3% cash back on streaming. So just pay your normal streaming bills and you get $7 a month. With 12 months in the year, that's $84. It's a no annual fee card. They're just giving you $84 to keep the card. So I do have a Blue Cash Everyday. I'll probably keep that one forever. I have the Blue Business Plus, which is no annual fee. That's the 2X Everywhere business card up to $50K. My wife now has it as well. I'm good with that. Might as well keep it. So those are the cards we have. In the past, we had the Business Platinum. Had the Consumer Platinum. Just couldn't get past the super high annual fee. Now, if I was a high roller like Uncle Luke and was flying international business class several times a year, it would probably make a lot more sense. So that's kind of where I'm at with Amex. Now I'm going to be hypocritical and maybe not fully hypocritical, partially hypocritical. This offer right here. Would you do it if you had $150K offered on the business gold card? So we reviewed this last month and we talked about what it gives you. First of all, spend $10,000 to get $150,000 Amex points. 150,000 Amex points is really valuable. The annual fee right now is $295, and if I wait till February 1st, it goes up to $375. So if I'm going to do it, I should do it now. They do give $240 in business credits, but they're counting Walmart Plus as part of that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I got the card, I would use the Walmart Plus, but it wouldn't be all that exciting. And then $20 per month at office supply stores, Grubhub, or FedEx. That should be easy to use because office supply stores, you just walk into Staples and buy an Amazon gift card once a month. Although I don't like it being chopped up into installments that are monthly, I'm probably swinging by Staples anyway. So that one's not too hard to recover. So even if I only count that $295 annual fee, I can recover $120 a year. That's an effective annual fee of about $175. That one might actually live with me longer, and it might replace my business platinum in the long run. I can use a little bit of the same strategy. I don't get any priority pass. Little bit of the same strategy for Delta flights through their portal, those kind of things. And you get 4X on your top 2 categories each month. The categories are, let me try to use this high quality graphical interface here. Transit, electronics, wireless, advertising, gas stations, and restaurants. So you can still get your 4X at restaurants even if we drop our consumer gold card. So would love to get anyone's thoughts on that if you think I should go for the business gold card. I won't be able to get in $10,000 of spending between now and the end of the year, so it won't count towards my quarter and a quarter challenge. Another thought I had is I talked about getting a Hilton card, either the new Surpass or the new Aspire, leaning towards the Surpass because I don't go to resorts very often. In my laying awake at night at 2 a.m. thinking about these things, I started thinking more and more about how I'm not a loyalist to anyone. I like being a free agent. I know I mentioned liking Delta, but that's just because their flights are nice. I don't have any special status with them or anything. Do I even need a Hilton card? I can have a Hilton, whatever their lowest level status is, for free, and you can frequently buy Hilton points for half a cent each. So when appropriate, I can just buy them with cashback rewards. Just use whatever the best possible cashback strategy is. You can transfer your Amex rewards 1 to 2 to Hilton. And of course, I would wait until there's a bonus of 20%, 30%, 40%, something like that to make it even better. That's when it really becomes more worthwhile. My only thought is, I do like gold status right now because of the business platinum. I have the gold status. I would have to put some thought into that to get the breakfast credit. But if I'm mostly staying at Hampton Inns or what are the other ones? Home 2 Suites, I think, gives free breakfast. It doesn't even really matter. I'm more of a Hampton Inn kind of guy anyway. So even though it's more expensive, I do think the flexibility of transferable currencies, my style, I fit the business gold, more than I fit the Hilton Surpass card. Because there's a sign-up bonus, I might end up doing both. The old, why not both? All right, so I think I've gone through all of my canned or pre-planned Amex comments. Let me know if you want me to talk about that in any further detail. Catching up on the comments, Matt Clausen says not holding his breath. That must have been related to my I don't see US Bank ever getting transfer partners comment. Matt says Canada has an interesting monthly fee cobalt card from Amex. In other words, you have to be a Canadian resident, I assume. That does, I think, restaurant and streaming focused. They have an interesting setup last I saw. Sam K asks, are United States cards contactless? Yes, they are. So it's probably kind of hard to see, but that little symbol there right next to my finger is like the contactless symbol. So almost all of them are contactless. Oh, Matt answered the question. Yes, we have tap to pay. It's finally getting enough traction. We've only gotten EMV chips in the last 7 years, more like 10 years. I know Europe was ahead of us in that regard. Cesar says, at this stage of my life, I value lounge access a lot, hotel status, avoiding airport lines, and good customer service. That's why I don't mind the platinum. That makes a ton of sense. And that's why I said, if something's good for me, doesn't mean it's good for you. If I was retired like you, Cesar, I'd probably be doing the same. Maybe in 3 or 4 years when my kids fly the nest, the missus and I will be doing a lot more of that kind of stuff. Sam says Russian airline passengers have to pay extra for parachutes before flying in case the wings or engine suddenly drop off midair. That is true. I've actually watched several videos about, and I don't want to get political, no politics in this channel, but because of the war in Ukraine and the sanctions from pretty much all developed Western countries, they're having a hard time getting parts for their planes, which makes sometimes things in Russia just break. PM says, I have an upgrade offer on my business gold for $140K to the business platinum for $10K of spend. I was planning on dumping it, but that offer is too good, I think. Another $695 annual fee is not wanted, though. Yeah, I'm with you there. You try to dump them and they just reel you back in. I would probably say math wins over emotions there and take the offer, though, if I were you, PM. Cesar says, Chase and Capital One don't cover my entire travel experiences like Amex does. Good point. Yeah, like I said, right now I have the business platinum, so I'm covered. But maybe, I don't know, maybe the only way to find out if I want it or not is to dump it. I can always get it later. I won't be able to get the sign-up bonus if it's within my lifetime, a lifetime being 7 or 8 years. But I can always go back on it. That's something I tell myself about cards often is like, I have this fear like, oh, but if I cancel my XYZ, it's like, I can always open the card later, even if I'm not eligible for the sign-up bonus. Icarus says, I noticed credit card YouTubers claiming double. Example, quote, my annual fee is free because of statement travel credit, end quote. Then later, this flight is free because of the statement travel credit. That's a good point. You should not say both, I'll even use my sweetheart card, my US Bank Altitude Reserve. And I have said it is functionally a no annual fee card for me because $400 annual fee, they give a $325 dining or travel credit, which can be used all at once. It can be broken out or in one big purchase. So now I'm down to $75. And then just by asking every year, they give me a retention offer of 5,000 points. Don't have to do anything. 5,000 points is worth $75 on travel. So 400 minus 325 minus 75 equals 0. But if I paid the annual fee, 325 of that is prepaying for travel. And then I go to a Holiday Inn and use that to pay, and it's exactly $325. It's not fair to say that my annual fee was free and my Holiday Inn stay was free. No, you just prepaid for your Holiday Inn. Instead of giving it to Holiday Inn, you gave it to US Bank. That is an amazing point, Icarus. And that's part of the reason why I don't like high annual fee cards unless I'm going to get truckloads of value out of them. I love that point. I'm going to quote you on that someday, maybe. Cesar says the offer is great, referring to PM. He also says it's a great time to add Hilton cards. The business gold offer is great. I don't disagree with you, Cesar. And I think the surpass sign-up bonus of $170K on, I think, $3,000 to spend is particularly good. Just to challenge thinking a little bit and get all our brain stimulated. I did watch that Stan the Credit Frog video last night or early this morning. And he said the sign-up bonus on the no annual fee Hilton card is actually not very good. It's 100,000 points right now. I think you have to spend $2,000. And he said in the past, they had the exact same amount, 100,000 points, for only $1,000. So your return on spend or your points per dollar spent has been better in the past. So I think on the Aspire card, it's about the same as always value-wise. On the Surpass, it's better. On the no annual fee card, it's not as good. PM agrees with Cesar that he does need to take the offer. It's too good to pass on. Yeah, upgrading for free 140K points. That's That's more than the current sign-up bonus, more than the current public sign-up bonus. Will American Airlines be affected by the Iceland volcano event? I didn't know there was an Iceland volcano event, Sam. Thank you. There was one. Now, I'm starting to get to that point in life. I'm in my mid-40s, if you don't know. Get to that point in life where I'm one of those old guys that says, like, yeah, a couple years ago, and then you look it up and it was actually like in 2003. So I don't want to be one of those guys. But a couple years ago, there was an Iceland volcano that screwed up a lot of flights between the U.S. and Europe. Because, that kind of, when we look at a normal map, it looks like a circle, but on a globe, it's actually the straightest line. If you're flying from Minneapolis to Amsterdam, the last leg of your flight, it looks like you're dropping straight down, like you fly down through Scotland, through England, or right next to them, and land in Amsterdam. And those flights, I remember we flew on KLM. Someone sitting on the other side of the plane said something like, look out the window, you can see the southern tip of Greenland. And we kind of could, but we were so high and so many clouds. It's just like, hey, there's some white fuzziness out there. That's Greenland. Cesar says a good way to get around it is to get all 4 Hilton bonuses. That's a good point. Because Stan pointed this out too. The gold and platinum and the Delta cards have added family language where, like, if you get the vanilla personal platinum, you can no longer get the sign-up bonus on the Charles Schwab version and vice versa. How long before that comes to Hilton? So maybe we should all go out and sign up for every single Hilton card right now. He also said if they follow their normal trajectory, that it'll be like you'll want to get the no annual fee card first, then the Surpass, then the Aspire, because the higher cards, the bonus is locked out if you've had the lower cards, but not the other way around, apparently. I can't verify that. That's just what Stan the Credit Frog said. But man, he's an analytical dude, so I can't imagine he would be wrong. Seems like we're at an hour mark, so thanks for hanging in there, guys. It seems like there was one other question someone asked me. I can't remember what it was, so let me go to my recent videos and see if that helps me remember here. There was only 4 people when this video started, so I will throw out to you. I do have memberships that are live right now and super chats. As it relates to memberships, it's only $3 a month to become a Dugroz diehard. PM is one of them. I read off all the names of them. There's about 10 members so far, so thank you to all of them. The reason why I have memberships is I'm not trying to make a truckload of money off of them. If I do, I'm fine, but like a third of that money goes to YouTube anyway. So I only pull down $2 a month per person. But I've got some videos about things like manufactured spending, difficulty interacting with normal people, a credit card roadmap, that Hilton point valuations where I just really philosophize over how much they're worth, that just don't play well in the algorithm, or they're topics that are just too sensitive to put out there. I don't want someone from the Dave Ramsey crowd coming onto a video and telling me what a jerk I am because, I'm taking advantage of normal people or something like that. Or, I'm just going to be unable to resist the urge to spend more than I normally would if I paid in cash. So I put it behind the paywall. It's just a little bit of privacy. I don't want to offend someone and get doxxed or something like that. So some of those more edgy or sensitive videos go into that membership only area. So consider that if you're not already a member. I have 6 videos behind the membership wall right now. PM, who is a member, thank you, says the Amex family language is just icky. And I agree with that. It's kind of, I understand why they're doing it, but I don't particularly like it. Oh, okay, I remember. Somebody, I think it was Cesar, asked me not for this live stream, but last week's, what cards I'm thinking about canceling next year. I did go through a little more of a drill with myself this morning to think it over. So here's the whole stable of cards. I have 32 cards right now if you include myself, player 2, and both of our business cards. Excuse me, 33 cards right now. The Capital One cards are almost certainly going to go. I have an older Venture One card, which I never use, and then my Capital One Venture X. Those are probably going to be dumped early part of next year. My understanding, and I made a phone call to Capital One once, which confirmed this, is that unlike basically every other credit card issuer, Capital One doesn't give you a 30-day grace period to cancel your card and get your annual fee back. So if you're going to dump it, you got to do it before the annual fee posts. I have a business triple cash rewards from US Bank, which I got mainly for the sign-up bonus and because it had a 0% APR for a year. I have now paid that card off in full, I've paid it off in full, so I don't really need it anymore. It's just taking space. Now, they did throw another 0% APR offer at me, 3% to park money on that card and earn 5%. I don't know if that's worth doing or not. I'll think it over. So that's 3, the 2 Capital One cards and the US Bank Business Cash, triple rewards. My wife has an old Bank of America card, which doesn't even get rewards, and it's the only Bank of America card we have. Bank of America could be good if you have like retirement assets parked over there, but it really doesn't get us anything. I talked about how I don't use my Discover card anymore, so that one might go. My wife has a business cash card, and I have 2 from Chase Inc. business cash cards. That's the 5X at Office Supply Store card. I think 2 between us is enough. I can probably dump one of them. I'll probably dump one of mine. My wife has 2 Freedoms and a Freedom Flex. I have a Freedom and a Freedom Flex. My dad has a Freedom Flex. I think we got enough rotating categories that we're never going to use them all, so I'll probably get rid of one of my wife's Freedoms. And then my wife's consumer gold card from Amex will probably be gotten rid of. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards I'll probably get rid of either before the end of the year or after the start of next year. And that would take me down to 25 cards, which is a little more manageable. I feel like I still need to trim some after that. I've got 2 IHG cards. One is business for me. One is personal for my wife. They're a little harder to combine stays than what I originally thought, so I might get rid of hers on that. All right. Any final questions? Then we'll bring it to an end because we're now over an hour. Sam says there's a fishing town in Grinvalken, Iceland. The earthquakes are getting worse. An event there, excuse me. Family language is what's holding Matt Kloss up from getting Amex cards. He's got to move his membership spend here onto his Inc. Unlimited. Sounds like a thing to do today, and join the diehards. I would love it if you joined the diehards. Don't feel obligated, but it would sure please me, and you get some of those nerdy videos. The more that people like, the more I make. And Tampa Travel. Hey, Tampa Travel's in the house. Welcome aboard. Great live. Thanks. All right. So thanks, everyone. Smash that thumbs up button if you've not yet done so. I would appreciate it. And I am going to sign off for the day and go to lunch pretty soon. I've been doing morning live streams the last 3 times because I feel that works better for me than trying to do it at night when I'm tired. But if you have any comments on the time of day, whether I should continue with morning or evening, let me know. Planning on mornings, but you can probably talk me into it if you need to. As always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks, everyone. Oh, I haven't ended yet. PM just gave me money. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate it while I plan my new Hilton strategy. Peace out.